Welcome to the third episode of Pimp My Website. On today's episode, we're going to take this website of a nonprofit fighting racism and we're going to turn it into this website. It's going to be pretty awesome. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Pimp My Website. Before we jump into this episode's website, I want to follow up on the last week's Pimp My Website reactions, because if you haven't seen it, on the last week we took this website of investor Elad Gil and turned it into this website, and I actually sent it to him. And a lot of people in the comments were wondering about what did his reaction was. So Elad followed up on email with me, and he also actually shared it on his Twitter. So he wrote, "You know that your website is in dire need of an update when it's spontaneously featured on Pimp My Website." He then posted also the link for Flux Academy, my online school, and he also did a poll, which website should he use. And I think thanks to you guys who have went ahead and vote, the new fancy website has won. And so this is pretty epic. He also, as I said, followed up on email and asked a little bit about myself. So I introduced myself and just built a little bit of a relationship. So I think that was a great success. All right, let's dive into this week's website. So this week I chose this website. This is the Nonprofit Anti-Racism Coalition. I thought about let's actually help an organization that perhaps doesn't have the resources right now to invest in a good design, and that they're also doing something important, in this case, trying to fight systematic racism, and let's help them to redesign, because this website currently, I don't think it's doing a fantastic job. I went over into looking into the page source to see what they worked to build this, and I can see that this was built with Squarespace, which usually has good templates, but this just doesn't look really well. I don't think it's doing a good job for them. It's lacking a lot of things. And so let's go ahead and design it. So I've went ahead and just quickly brainstormed kind of like a little wireframe of how I'd like to structure the new homepage. Let's get started with it. So I'm going to do this with Adobe XD right here. So in terms of the hero section, the first thing that you see when you're getting into the website, they're putting in the logo here, which isn't really helpful. I mean, it helps you to know where you are, but it's not really giving you any value. And there's no big title that really quickly helps you understand where you are or what's the value proposition. It's probably this line or something like this, or this whole thing. But I think in terms of composition, it's not really helping you grasp immediately in the first 10 seconds, which are super crucial if you don't want people to drop from your website. You really need to convey the message fast. And I think that if we use a little bit of an image that gives, in this case, because they're fighting anti-racism, maybe we can use an image of diversity. You can see people from diverse races and genders on the screen and put the titles in big. I think this will be more impactful. Also, I think it's really lacking a call to action, and I think after diving into the website, maybe joining as a member should be the call to action. So let's go ahead and start designing this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the logo here. I don't want to use it as it is, because I think if I'll make it smaller and just try to put it here, actually, you know what? It's not that bad. I thought I need to reposition or do something with the logo. Actually, it's not very meaningful, right? The text here is too small. I should probably do something like create a version for this logo when it's super, super small. So I would do something, I just popped it in Photoshop, and let's do something like remove the super small text because it's meaningless, and make this actual text larger. So let me just write here N Park. Now, I'm not really sure about the font. It looks something like Futura maybe. So let me choose Futura as a font for this. Let's see, Futura. Not sure why I can't. Oh, I'm trying to write Futura. Futura medium. Yeah, it looks like, but it shouldn't be uppercase. So Futura may be bold, or this is bold condensed. I have here heavy. Yeah, I think it looks pretty similar. Actually, it's not similar. It's the exact font. It's always fun to know that you know your fonts. So let's put it here and let's remove this text from the logo. Sorry. All right, so basically, I would say that this is a version of the logo for smaller screens. Maybe here, maybe. Well, I'm not saying this is a perfect logo, but I'm just saying it's better than what we had before, right? So I'm going to copy this smart. You can see that when I'm putting them one next to each other, this probably works much better in small scale than this. So I'll just use this for now. Let's create some kind of a grid here that we can see. So let's see in the XD if we have some layout. Yeah, I think this layout looks okay. So I'm going to stick to this grid for now. So I'm going to put this here and I'm going to create the menu. I don't like the home button. I think it's unnecessary. People know that when you click the logo, it's home. So basically we have about, membership, and contact. So and while we know that we're using Futura for the logo, I think I'll try to use Futura for the rest. So let's do about. Let's change the logo to Futura. And so we have about, and then we have, let's see, how about the size? It's 20. I think it's okay. So membership and contact. Contact. All right, and I'll put them aligned to, so we have a container. We can see that. Let's align them, or at least spread the spacing equally. So I think this looks better for a heading right now than what we have currently. Also with this super light gray, you can't really see much, and I think that this looks better. Maybe just make sure that it's centered aligned. Okay, so now let's bring some kind of an image here to the background. Again, if you have a budget for custom photography, you should probably want to do this. Because we don't have and we want to find something quick, just go to Unsplash and write diversity, diversity, and see what comes up. Probably I wrote this wrong because my English is so bad. All right, so diversity. Let's see what we have here. I think maybe something like this, which is kind of in a business context, would be more helpful because they're talking about organization, so it's not just people. Maybe let's look for something that is a little bit more businessy oriented. Let's see if we have something else here. Yeah, this might be good. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we're limited on time here on the show. So let's see if there's nothing super good that comes fast. All right, so let's see what we have here. We have this image, and then we have this image. This one only shows women, and this shows women and men from all kinds of races. So I think this one is a little bit better for diversity. So let's see what happens if we take this image and bring it here. And I'm not going to do it full screen just because, we don't have the logo right now. Wait, okay, so because we don't have the logo in the colors right now, it's not going to look good on an image, so I'm just going to leave the space at the top. Mask with shape. Okay, so let's see how that looks. So one thing that you always want to make sure that you're working with is the crop, right? Never take an image and just place it. You want to make sure that it's showing what you want, and it also allows you to position the text, right? So here it's probably a good area to put the text. So I'm going to make sure I move it and have good position to put the titles on top here. Also, I might, we'll see how the text looks, and maybe I need to make this wider, this whole area. Maybe I need to blur this out a little bit. So let's see what's the title that we want to bring in here. So nonprofit supports organization in practicing institutional anti-racism. I wonder if I should take this as is or find a little bit of a catchier title. I think I'm going to use this together as a subtext, and I'm going to try to kind of like find a shorter call to action or like a value proposition. So get help with anti-racism in your organization or something like this. So let's try this. Let's try get help, help your organization with anti-racism. Okay, so this is just short and clear kind of like value proposition. Let's make it super big. Let's choose kind of a color, maybe black or something like. Okay, and you can see that it's not super readable on this image because the image has lots of details in the background. So I think to help this, I'm actually going to take the image, right? I'm going to copy it into Photoshop. Photoshop is always useful. You have to know, how to master Photoshop because, as you'll see in this case, we do need to do some image editing on it. Now, what I want to do is I want to blur this out a lot so it won't disturb the text and also make it lighter. Now, usually I would, make sure that I use the pen tool to do this properly. But for this one, I'm just going to do this super fast. So kids, don't do that at home. Put in some efforts with your pen tool. But for the Pimp My Website show, we're going to do this ultra fast. Pen tool, essential skill for every designer to master because it's so important when cutting stuff out. And yeah, I think we're almost done. And yeah, of course, again, this is not how I would do this. If I would do this properly, I would put more effort into doing this accurately. But right now, bam. Okay, we have selected this area, which now I can duplicate, and now I can also blur it. So let me Gaussian blur it. Okay, so now you can see this is a lot of blur, but it will make the text super visible. Also, I'm going to use curves to make this a little bit brighter. Okay, so let's see how that looks when we bring that in. I think it's going to make the text way more readable. Let's bring it back. And okay, so now you see, the text is super readable. I can actually make the text bigger, I think, 75. Okay, help your organization with anti-racism. That looks good. We can also bring in some of that text as a subtext. We'll edit that in a second. So let's add here some text. This does not have to be heavy. It can be medium. It can be something like 20. It can be something like, okay, so nonprofit coalition supports organization practicing institutional anti-racism. Our community, we don't need it. Our commitment to ending systematic calls for. Okay, so I'm just removing this like our Facebook ad, and we're going to bring the Facebook in a different place on the website. Going to make this shorter so it kind of aligns with the text that we have here. And maybe we don't need 2 paragraphs. Okay, so now I think that the text looks better, the whole text as a paragraph. And the only thing I want to add here is the call to action. So I'm going to add a button. In this case, I actually think, a white button is actually nice kind of not super contrasted, but it's actually pretty nice. So let's bring this up here and call this join as a member. Join as a member, we can make this bold, and we can, actually the size is big as well. The size is great as well. So we have a call to action button. All right, so in general, I think that the hero looks much better now. I can actually make it, let's see if we can make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. Okay, so I think hero looks much better. we have a clear title, text, call to action. Let's go into the second section here. Okay, so what do we have below? So in general here, they didn't have anything. They basically talked about the Facebook page and then thanking their partners. Now, I've checked their Facebook page, and it looks like most of what they're actually doing is events. So I see they have an event in February, an event in January. So what I think I want to do is I want to actually add upcoming events into the page, because I think this is really some content, because currently the homepage is lacking in content. So I would do upcoming events, and I would do something like maybe add 3 columns. Let's bring back the grid for a second so I can see how to create. Oh, wait, yeah, make sure that everything is aligned to the grid. And now I can add like maybe 3 columns. 1, 2, 3 columns with 3 events. Okay, let's remove the grid so we can continue working. And let's see. So I'm not sure if we can grab images from these events. Can we grab an image? Yeah, actually we can copy image and then paste it here. And then, actually, you know what? Let's see if we can fit this exactly in the grid. Okay, so instead of blocking it, this actually looks pretty good. So let's move to the next event. Okay. All right, I'm not gonna spend way too much time on this, but you get it. We can copy the images. We can put the events here. So they are not in the same size, which means that we will need to crop it with a mask. So let's crop it. Object, mask with shape. All right, I'm not going to do the third one. I'm just going to take this one here. And upcoming events. I wonder if we need some text about each event here. Probably, maybe. I'm not sure, because you can actually see the name of the events here. So what I do want to do here is I want to put in kind of a call to action that says see more on our Facebook page, and make sure we link this. So let's choose a clear color. Make sure that it's clickable, and yeah. Okay, so basically we have the events here, and then we have kind of like see more on our Facebook page. And then we can continue into the next kind of section, which is our partners. So I'm wondering if, yeah, I think this is probably H1, the biggest heading on the homepage, and this is probably H2 second. So maybe it needs to be a little bit bigger, something like this, so that we can also then use it here as a title for our partner, NPark Partners. I'm going to drop the NPark Partners. I'm going to drop the thank you, because I think it's, I don't think it's important, and I think it's just a distraction from actually reading what this is. So NPark Partners. Now, I think the problem here is that you can see the container here is too tight. Everything is way too tight. So I would space them out a little bit more. So we can see maybe our grid comes back, and I'm not sure that we should span them out throughout the grid. For this, for sure. For the members, for sure. But let's see how this looks. I'm just going to copy and paste them. So if we're making sure that they are in a rather relatively similar size, actually it's okay to spread them throughout the container. So I think this is okay, and basically now we can have the member organizations, and we can start bringing in all those logos. But it's going to be quite boring to copy and paste them, so for the sake of it, I'm just going to do this super fast. And now my problem is I can't space them out here, so I'll do this in Photoshop real quick. Again, this is kind of a hacky way to do this. I'm not sure what the width is that we want, but I just want to do this fast so you can understand basically what I'm doing. It's more important than doing it properly here. Yeah, definitely the logos were way too tight there. Let's see how this will look. Yeah. Okay, so member organization, that looks well as well. Okay. You know what? Maybe we should also center the upcoming events. Yeah, since all the rest of the titles are centered, I think it would make sense to center this as well. I'm wondering though if we need to maybe I was thinking maybe we need to kind of divide the sections using a background color, but just to be clear that it's different sections. So maybe take this, remove the border, give it some kind of a light background, put it in the back. Well, now it sucks because I haven't removed the background for the logos, but what if we use it for this? No, I'm gonna opt out from this for now. However, what I do want to do is I want to create a footer for the website, which we're lacking at the moment. So basically, all they have after the organization is sign up for our mailing list and then the Facebook. So this is not really a proper footer. And also, I don't like the fact that I need to click on it and then go to a different page just to sign up, and I get this huge sign up form just for a mailing list. So I think a much better solution would be to create a proper footer, which means I'm going to take a logo, like a variation of the logo, and put it here. I'm going to put it on multiply just so we don't see the white background. And let me bring back the grid so we can see where we're working. And I would take this and write join newsletter. And I would join newsletter. I would actually just put in like an email here, email and name. I would really simplify this. So join, let's take some text from here. I'm going to put in a label, and the label is going to be name, and actually full name. You know what? You can later split the full name into first name. It's pretty easy to do in most email software. So full name, and then email, and then a button, and the button can be, this looks pretty big. I don't know, like it takes a lot of space, but all right. And let's just add a button with some kind of a color. Now we didn't pick like a proper color for anything in this page, like call to action, so I'm just going to use this kind of generic blue and change the text to white so it's readable, and then join newsletter. And just because I remember I saw they have kind of a check mark with I agree to maybe terms and conditions or something like that. I agree to terms and conditions, which is probably going to be also like a blue because it's also a link. Yeah. So I agree to terms and condition. Not I agree is not a link. Just the terms and condition is a link. And we're gonna do kind of like a check box that they can sign up. All right. So not the most beautiful contact form, newsletter form, but I guess it's much better than what we have right now. So we have this, and the only thing we can also add here to this footer is, add the pages. So basically just take these about, membership, and contact and add them here in the footer as kind of a, sitemap so people remember what pages we have on this website. So I'm just going to put them this way. And sometimes you also bring in the footer some kind of a sentence about, copyrights or something like this. All information is copyrighted for NPark 2020 or something like this. Let's make these bold so it's clearer that these are buttons, while this can be way smaller, maybe like 18. Okay, I think so. So I think for a quick redesign, I think this looks much better and also will do much better work converting to joining as a member, and also probably increase conversion for the newsletter because we have an open form and you don't have to click on it. And in general, also better call to action to the Facebook. So let me know what you think in the comments about this redesign. And I want to take this to the next level. So I'm actually going to challenge my students for the Webflow Masterclass to go ahead and finish this redesign. There's other pages here, the About page and the Membership page. I'll challenge them to finish up the design and actually build this out in Webflow so we can actually send NPark this website and they can actually use it. So if you're one of my students, check out email or our private Facebook group for details on this challenge. I'll probably give another AirPods Pro to the winner of this challenge. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.